Hey there, beautiful teachers, and welcome to another Vibrant Music Teacher Chat. Today on the show, we're going to be looking at 5 different questions that you can be asking yourself to assess how last year went and how things are going to go next year. So this is the perfect video to watch if it's nearing the end of the teaching year for you, or the end of a term, or some time like that, or any time during the year when you just want to look back, reflect, take stock on how things are going for you generally as a teacher and as a business owner, and look forward to how you want things to go in the future. So let's get started. So to all of you joining me live, you're very welcome. If we haven't met yet, hi. Hello, my name is Nicola Canton and I run a site called Vibrant Music Teaching and a blog called Colourful Keys, and I'm really passionate about helping teachers improve their teaching and have more fun while doing it too. So if you are joining me here live today, please do say hi. I know I'll have a lot of regulars in the room, but if I have any newbies, make sure to say hi too and don't be shy. We love to hear from you here. I see Carrie has already joined us here on the chat. Great to have you back here again, Carrie and Charlotte. Awesome stuff. So before I share my 5 questions, I'd love your thoughts as we get warmed up here on what the most important thing you think you need to assess at the end of every year is. What's the key question for you? It could be in any area, okay? These are broad-ranging questions, and I'd be curious to hear what they would be for you. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Jonelle. Hey, Laurie. Great to have you all joining me again. So before we kick off with our 5 questions, I want to hear yours, and I want to tell you a couple of things that are important to know as well. So first of all, the schedule for these chats. We're on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We have 3 weeks left at this schedule. So check back again on Wednesday and on Friday. We've got fun topics coming up, and the next 2 weeks as well. I've left it at that for now. That's what we're committing to, I guess, because that's when I finish up teaching. And not that I'm definitely going to be stopping the chats from there, but we might rethink the schedule, we might change things up. So for now, for the next 3 weeks, and for all the past chats, it's been 3 times a week while we all deal with COVID-19 and all the fun stuff and adventures that go along with that. And the not so nice stuff too. Hey Morgan, hey Sarah, hey Sharon, excuse me. Hi guys, so great to have you here. The other thing I want to let you guys know about is several of the people there I'm saying hi to are members, but if you're not a member yet, you can sign up still using our coupon online and get a 1-week trial for $1. That is also definitely continuing until the end of June, to give people access to the resources they need to teach online with fun and creativity. And from there, we'll probably go back to our normal regular pricing without the 1-week trial. That was a special that we were doing for access to online resources while teachers were really, let's not say panicking, let's say in need of assistance and we wanted to help them out. So do avail of that discount if you haven't already. The coupon code is online and you can sign up at vibrantmusicteaching.com. Sharon has added a question in there. Thank you for that, Sharon. Sharon said, did my students progress the way I think they should have? If not, why not? Great question to ask yourself, Sharon. Others, please do keep adding them in as well. Morgan, that's great to hear. Thank you. It's one of my bright spots to see you here, so it's great to have you. And others who are just joining us now, let me know what question you're going to be asking yourself as you near the end of the year, or questions that you generally ask yourself at the end of a term or end of year, summer, January, any of those assessment kind of times. What are you checking in with yourself on? What are you doing a gut check about? What are you journaling about? What are you asking yourself in order to help you progress as a teacher? I'm going to share with you my 5 suggestions of questions, but I want to hear yours too, because others can learn from them and it gives us other perspectives as well. It's not all about what I think is most important. The reason I wanted to share this chat with you today, though, this topic, was because I'm currently I did one today and I have another one tomorrow, sort of end of year reflection sessions with the 2 teachers who work at Colourful Keys. So it's been just a couple of years that I've had other teachers working here as well, and it's a very small team. It's just me and 2 other people. And really, when I started that, it was about having a kind of a mentorship program. And I know others have suggested that as a chat topic here, so we might do a full session on that. But it was about adding other teachers, yes, to take some students off my waiting list, to further expand our reach in the local community, but also to train future teachers, to train newer teachers. And so that's really what I do. Is we have weekly meetings, and it's really not about profit for me. There's nothing wrong with that if that is you, if you're running a music school and it is about maximizing the profit, I get that. But for me, adding more teachers was not really about that. It was about having an impact locally on other teachers in the area and in Ireland more broadly, and helping the next generation of teachers to move it along in a more personal, one-on-one directed way than I do online. I hope that I help teachers all over the world through Vibrant Music Teaching, but this is more of a focus specific program, because really the best way to learn to be a better teacher is to do it, I think, right? So you can sit in a pedagogy class and say, oh, that's very nice, so I get how to do that, but really it doesn't mean anything until you put it into practice. And so this is my way of providing that kind of opportunity that, say, a classroom teacher would get by doing placements in my studio. And it's not just a placement, of course, it is real work and they are real teachers, but it allows me to provide that kind of mentorship. So that's a general comment about what I do with teachers in my studio. But today and tomorrow I have meetings with both of them to discuss, how things are going, to get feedback from them about the process that we're using, since it is quite new, and help them to think through these things. And as I was I put together a Google Doc where I had questions for our meeting, and then they're going to write some notes about reflections about what we discussed and what they think generally as they progress through this, because I really want it to be an ongoing thought process. And so there's 5 particular questions that came up from that, which I think would be useful for any teacher at any stage to ask themselves. Some great questions coming in from you guys. Laurie says, did I grow? That's a great question. Sarah said, are we preferring online lessons or keen to return to face-to-face, and why? And are we thinking of continuing online or a combination of both? A really important question to ask this year, I suppose this week too, for sure, Sarah. Kari said, did I meet my goals for my studio? Did my students meet their goals? And Eloise, is it Eloise? You can tell me how to pronounce, if you can, kind of. Great to have you here from the Philippines. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, Laurie, I get what you mean. Yeah, did I evolve, not stay stagnant? Did I grow? Just generally, I think that's a great question. Charlotte said, what areas can I up my game in to make lessons run more, excuse me, more smoothly, to enrich lessons for my students? All great questions. The first question I've been asking the teachers who work at Colourful Keys, and myself, of course, is this one, because I like to start us on a positive note. Eloise. Okay, thank you for that. Great to have you here, Eloise. Tell me your answer to this question. I want to actually hear you guys answer this in the chat, because I want to force you to answer it, because it's so easy to go into a session like this and go, well, I'm not good at this, I need to get better at that, I need to improve in this area, I don't understand this technology. And I'd like you to answer this first. Because I'm sure you did something you're proud of. I'm sure we should all be extremely proud of ourselves for launching into Zoom lessons or whatever you've been doing in your area. So tell me, what have you accomplished in the last year? Helen says, successfully moving my students online. Yes, huge. So many of us have done that, and it has not been easy, and I'm so proud of everyone who has done it. It wasn't easy even for me, and I spent all my time online, right? So I think you should be just insanely proud of yourself for that. Absolutely. There was a comment there from Janelle. I switched my students from a curriculum I was sort of happy with to Piano Safari, which I love. Love that, Janelle. Love Piano Safari. But more importantly, you assessed the curriculum you were using and said, yeah, it's all right, but I can do better. And you did better. You found something that's a better fit for you, and you dealt with the learning curve and you launched into it. Yeah, lots of people proud of their switch to online teaching. You absolutely should be. I want you to think back to earlier in the year too, because we're considering the whole academic year. And I'm sure you did things even before our current adventures that you were should be super proud of. For example, oh my gosh, so many things happened earlier this year. I ran my first Christmas open house style concert. That's something I feel proud of this year. It was something completely different for me and a bit out of my comfort zone because I'm not a gigging musician, and that's the experience I was trying to create. And I wanted to do it in a way that was genuine, but also appropriate to kid. And I think we achieved that. I think it was great. Sherry loved this. Successfully becoming a piano teacher. It had been a dream for so long that had fallen away when I switched college majors. The dream came true when a friend at church asked me to teach her daughter. Oh my gosh, that's huge. Welcome to our industry, to our profession. It's great to have you. And it's definitely great to have you because you're here, you're improving yourself, you're trying to get better and better as a teacher. So congratulations on your first year. It's been an eventful one. More eventful even than most first years. And you should be so proud of getting through that. Nancy, moving my middle schoolers to classical music that they love. Beethoven and Debussy are their favorites. That's awesome. Colin, great to see you here, Colin. Hi. 2 things for me. More structured approach to lessons using a new curriculum, and started asynchronous lessons via video. Oh, cool that you went asynchronous with that, Colin. That's really interesting. For those of you who aren't sure what he means by that, he means that he is, in some form, students are sending him videos and he's sending videos back or something like that, that it's not actually a live video call, but that it's happening asynchronously, which is cool. Laurie's students performed at 3 assisted living homes during the holidays. The residents were so appreciative and my students felt fulfilled. Awesome. It's so great to see so many positive comments, and this is one of the reasons why in the Facebook group we do Success Story Saturday. It's just so important to look back every week and every year, and at these ending points, to look back and say, what did I do that was great? What went really well? Because we forget about that stuff. Our brains are naturally designed to tune in on the stuff that needs fixing, right? And we need to take a moment to say, you know what, I did great in this area, and that is worth shouting about. Eloise, my greatest achievement this year is I was able to prepare and inspire my students to join the recital. Great! And now we're preparing for an online recital. Oh, best of luck with that, Eloise. We've more resources on the channel if you've not seen them yet about online recitals and different options for those. And others who are watching, make sure you subscribe to the channel here so you get resources like that straight away. Helen, I love that win. Proud of introducing so many more games into lessons and making the most of VMT membership. That is awesome. Fantastic. Okay, you can keep adding your proudest moments in there because I love reading those, but I'm going to move on to the next question as well. So, here's my next question. What are your goals for next year? And this is specifically worded as not what do you want to get better at or what do you want to learn. What are your goals? It's broad for a reason. What do you want to do next year? What do you want to accomplish next year? When it comes to this time next year, what do you want to be looking back at and saying, I'm really proud of myself for doing that because you did it? What are your goals? This can be big picture thinking at the moment. It can be nitty-gritty things. It can be getting rid of makeup lessons. It can be hiring your first teacher to work with you. Or it can be starting to use Piano Safari. Getting back to in-person lessons. No, we can't control that. Let's not make that a goal. Whatever your goal is, it needs to be something specific and measurable. Even if you're thinking in this big picture way, it should be something that you can, at a certain point, say, yep, or nope, to that. So, if you want to get into using Piano Safari, just to take an example that we just had, then your goal could be, I am going to choose one student to try Piano Safari with in September and work on it with them throughout next year. And every week I will read the teacher guides ahead of our lessons and prepare for those lessons. That doesn't have to be anything to do with your example, but you see how you could look at that at some point next year and say, am I doing it? Am I not doing it? Right? Goals should always be measurable. Helen. Yep, nope. That was a recent surprise starter in VMT, which is why it made me giggle. But yeah, I am a bit yep, nope about things. Like, did you do this? Did you not do this? Okay, Linda, this is a great goal. To get a website going, Facebook page up, and using specific theory books in lessons. Okay, 3 great goals there, Linda. So you don't have to write this in the chat, although you can if you want. But just for your own thought process, what does it mean to get a website going? Does it count if you start working on it? Does it have to be live? Does it have to be viewable to the public? Does it have to be showing up in Google? Does it have to have 5 pages? Does it have to have, right? So you can set that goal and yet you can get there and you can have a website up and running but not be happy with it and think that you didn't achieve your goal. And that's no good for your motivation. So make sure it is something that you can really say yes or no. I did it or I didn't do it. Just answering some side questions here. So Sarah said, very keen to use Piano Safari, but have seen very costly prices on Amazon. Don't buy it on Amazon. Buy it directly from the authors. Not to say that that is cheaper. But Sarah, here's the thing about Piano Safari. And this is a bit of a tangent, but it comes up a lot. So hopefully this will be of interest to others watching. Which is a Piano Safari book. I have one here. One I prepared earlier. Okay, this is level 1. This is the main thing you need to teach Piano Safari, is this book, okay? So that's the first thing I will say is, if you wanted to teach Piano Adventures, you would need like 2, 3, 4, 5 books. In Piano Safari you need 1, and you kind of need the sight reading card, so that's 2 things. Still a lot less than most methods. The other thing I will say is, it says level 1 on there. That is true, but there's no primer. So you can consider this to be primer level and level 2 in one book, and it lasts 12 to 18 months. So yes, on sticker value, it can look like it's more expensive, but it's not actually. It's just the way it's formatted, and it's the duration of the book. Let me see here. Just wanted to check if there was another question there. No, great goals though, coming through. Charlotte, to increase the number of students, so my question to you would be, how many do you need and by when? Write it down or set a specific goal there. Eliminating 30-minute lessons, that's already specific, but you need to know by when. So is it from September? Is it is it straight away? Is it by January? Is it by the end of the year? And start including rote pieces. Again, what does that mean? Does every student learn a rote piece? Do you want to use at least 5? Right? So I would encourage you, everyone, as you're setting these goals, to make them specific and just set a couple of benchmarks, especially if you're big picture thinking like this, like if you want more students or something like that. Just a few. Don't overdo it. Awesome stuff. Love all of these. Okay. We've got 5 questions, so this is number 3. Are you ready? Hit the like button if you're enjoying these questions and if they're making you think, because that's what I want. I want you to be thinking. Here's question 3. What tools or resources could make your job easier? So we've talked about setting goals and looking back at your accomplishments. But tell me, is there anything you need? I might be able to give suggestions to those of you live or for commenting on the replay. What tools or resources could make it easier? So sometimes you know what that is. You know, like, well, I need to buy accounting software, right? Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you just have a problem and you need to find a tool that's a solution. But there usually is one if you think about it in the right way and in the right trajectory. So, yeah, tell me, what tools or resources could make your job easier? Laurie, is that your answer? As in directed at me, my website? But you already have that. So, yeah, let me know. What do you think you need? What's lacking? And is it something that you can't define? Because we might be able to help you to define it here in the chat on the call. Karen says an overhead camera that could interface with my iPad. With your iPad is maybe trickier. The trickier part of that. Is it for Zoom, Karen? Because if so, I would just call into the same call with your phone as the easiest solution to that. But there's certainly, I'm sure if you do some research, there will be an overhead cam that connects to the iPad. I prefer to connect to a computer because it's just more powerful and you have a lot more options in general with everything on a computer still. Thank you for that, Helen. I'm glad you're enjoying the books. Thinking Theory, for those who aren't familiar, are my music theory workbooks. Are they here beside me? Oh, there's one. There. Yeah. I certainly find them useful with my students, which is why I designed them. Helen also said I need a website. Never had one before, but want to do more teaching online. Yeah, great goal to get a website set up. And it's a tool as well, right? It ticks both of those boxes. Great stuff. Okay, so have a think about that. As you set goals, as you reflect on your last year, think about tools and resources because we don't have to do this alone. Even if we don't hire another person to help us in any capacity, although I would suggest if you have an area that you're not good at or you hate, to hire someone else to do it on a freelance basis. It can be a great move. But even if you don't do that, there are tools out there to help you. There is things like VMT for professional development and games and stuff like that. Teachers often get in touch with me and say, oh, I've been creating my own games using this and this and this, but it takes me so long and yada yada. I'm like, if you want to get into that, great, do it. But if you enjoy doing it, also great. But if you're stressing yourself out, moving stuff around in Microsoft Word, and you don't want to learn how to use design software, and you don't enjoy fussing around with these things in Microsoft Word, then please stop. Just use VMT resources or another site that you love, right? And the same goes for writing your own pieces. If you love it, great. If you don't, just spend the money to support a composer instead, right? So, yeah, all that to say, do the things you love and are good at, your zone of genius, as we call it, and try to stay away from the things that don't bring you joy and you're not very good at, right? Because someone else can do a better job of them and we can support each other in that way. Yeah, exactly. That's a great example. Linda said, my music staff has changed my life. No problems getting tuition and stragglers are automatically billed a late fee. Yeah, it comes with a cost, but it is 100,000% worth it, right? To have a My Music Staff subscription or to have a accounting software that takes all that stuff that most of us don't like, entering stuff into Excel spreadsheets, creating invoices, manually emailing them out, that is a waste of your time. So think about tools and resources that might serve you next year. The next question is about your teaching. It's a very simple one, but it's deceptively simple. Do you enjoy it? Another way to put this is, are you getting to enjoy it? Because a lot of us do, on some level, enjoy teaching. I hope most of us. But some of us don't get to enjoy it. And that can be because we're spending too much time doing the accounting and we're driving ourselves batty with that. And our brain is so fried by the time we get to teach that we don't get to enjoy it. That can mean that we're not enjoying it because we're not effective. And that might be a harsh thing to say, but sometimes it's true, and it's true for me too. Sometimes I don't enjoy a lesson. And normally when that happens, it's because my brain is just gone, because I haven't looked after myself. That hopefully doesn't happen frequently for you. I certainly take effort to make sure it almost never happens to me, that I don't balance things so that I have energy left for teaching. But that took me a while to come by. So you might not be there with that yet, and you might need to rethink your breaks and stuff like that for next year. That could be a goal for you. But either your brain is not at the capacity, hasn't got the capacity left to enjoy your teaching because you just can't be in the moment, you can't stay with your student, you don't have the brain power left to be a good teacher, or you're not you don't have the skills yet, or you haven't done the planning, or haven't found the solution to a problem you're having with that student. Now that could be any kind of problem. It could be that the parent is a pain in the bum and you haven't found a solution to getting them to pay you, and that is irritating you so much that you're not even enjoying the teaching. Or it could be that they're 6 and you're not very good at teaching 6-year-olds yet, and they're antsy, they've got ants in their pants, and they're squiggling around, and it's really frustrating you. And if that's the case, yeah, you can say, oh, I don't enjoy teaching that age group. That might be true. Maybe you just want to write them off. But maybe you just need more training. And that's often what the case is. The students who you don't enjoy teaching, it's because you're not good at teaching them yet. You're not good at teaching them because they're too little and squiggly, or because they're a teenager who's rolling their eyes at you because you haven't found a way to connect with them, right? So most often, one of those two things is the culprit. You're burning yourself out in some other area, or you don't have the skills you need to teach them effectively, and that's frustrating for you. And if you hate all teaching, then stop teaching, because we don't need teachers who don't like teaching, because lessons taken from a teacher who doesn't like their job, and believe me, I have experienced this firsthand, are miserable for the student, even if the teacher is trying to disguise the fact that they hate teaching, even if they're doing their best to be pleasant and to be nice. They don't care about teaching. They don't want to be there. They want to be on a performance stage, but they failed. Some situation like that can mean that they are not giving pleasant lessons to their student, and they can turn students off from learning. So if that is you, if you hate all teaching, please don't teach, find something else to do. But that's not most of the people watching here. In fact, it's probably not any of you guys. So if you find you're not enjoying some of your teaching, then I want you to consider those 2 areas and think about which one it is, right? Which one is the answer? And it sort of leads me into the last question, which is, which students do you enjoy teaching most and least? And as I mentioned there, that can often reveal something about your own skills, or it can reveal something about the direction you want to go as a teacher. Both are equally valid, and both can teach you a whole lot about where you want to go next. Because if you find that you don't like teaching preschoolers, but you really do want to continue teaching them, you're just not quite enjoying it yet, then you need training. That's it. To teach them effectively, you need training. And once you are teaching them effectively, it probably will be more enjoyable. But if you find that you don't like teaching preschoolers and you're just not interested, you just don't want to do that, then that affects your marketing and how you direct your studio in the future, or the places you work if you're working for someone else, or how you structure your relationship with your boss at a studio, right? So, those are my 5 questions. I hope they've been valuable for you. The chat is flying. Let me just check in here. Lee, I could use suggestions on how to keep up with what games and manipulatives I have so I remember to use them in lessons, and how to organize them in your studio space. Okay, so the games organization thing, or like resources, books, whatever, it's a big topic, but there are 2 sides to it that are normally the problem. And teachers always think it's the organization part, this side, which is, I don't have a good enough system. And that might be true. You might have a terrible system. You might not have any folders set up. You might just have big piles of stacks of random stuff and be expecting yourself to remember it. That might be true. But what's just as true, more often true, and usually a bigger part of the problem, is that you're not giving yourself enough time to use each thing and get comfortable with it before adding another thing. I go on and on, as you've probably seen before, Lee, about one thing, all the time. I want people to do one new thing. And that's because if you don't do it if you don't spend enough time on that one new thing, you can't internalize it to the point where you're able to call it up later. So whether that's a game that you use for a specific teaching issue, or a way of teaching improvisation, or whatever, a new accounting system, if you don't spend enough time with that one thing, you don't get good enough at it. And you don't, as I say, internalize how it works and how you can use it later. And that's really, I think, where the magic lies. Yes, you then need to be able to find it, right? So it's no use knowing that this is the perfect game if you literally cannot put your hand on it in the studio. But as I said, that's not normally the case. People normally can, if they can think of it, they can find it. And so it's about that organization on the back end of doing one thing at a time. And, when that's too much or that's not possible, follow one of the curricula in VMT. So don't rely on yourself picking out one thing at a time. Although you can do it that way, and it's a great way to do it too. When that's not working out, you can just follow Piano Power Booster or something like that, where you are using that process with several students and you're learning by doing that way and not having to pick things out as you go. And that structure is baked in. So, Carrie, my question to you, or for you to ask yourself, would be, why? Why are they so challenging? What's wrong with them that makes them challenging? And by that I really mean, what's wrong with you in the nicest possible way, right? Because when there's one particular student that I'm dreading each week, what I'm doing is interrogating myself and saying, well, why this student? What makes them stand out? They're not practicing, their parent is just a total flake, or they have a really abrasive attitude towards me. Something is making that lesson the way it is. Or it could be, well, it comes after 5 other lessons and I'm miserably tired, or I need to go to the toilet by the end of it. Like, it can be something silly, right? That's easily fixed with a 10-minute break, or it can be a big thing that you have to rethink how you're teaching them or your relationship, or send them to another teacher sometimes. Yeah. Linda, also the VMT Roadmaps, good point, helps to decide which games to choose or which topic. Yeah, so you can refer to the online system as much as you need to or as much as you want to and use that as a structure instead, so that you have a purpose behind what resources you're picking out as well. That's a great tip to add, Linda. Thank you for that. Cherry, I'm starting with a 13-year-old in July prayerfully, so that's a new age group. She's very sweet and wanting to learn, so I'm not worried about it. Just curious about games and such. Yeah. It's definitely, whenever you approach a new age group, new learning difference, whatever is going to be the new thing that you're incorporating, it's important to invest some extra time in learning about that. So absolutely listen to some information, some podcasts, read some blog posts, get under the skin of what's going to be, might be different with your 13-year-old and teaching teenagers in general and all of that stuff. Do that in advance and do that in between lessons, but as she arrives for her lesson, just take her as she comes, because she's going to be a person, right? We're all people and we're all different. And you might find that this particular 13-year-old, you read all about teaching pop progressions and what have you, and she arrives and says she wants to learn a Chopin nocturne. You don't know until you start working with her, but that doesn't mean that learning goes out the window or wasn't important or relevant. It's still all a part of your professional development, and covering your bases in that way is definitely going to be useful. Kimberly, I take students' bad attitudes way too personally. I think it's something I need to work on. Yeah, I mean, it's tough not to take it personally, isn't it? When students are acting that way to you. Sometimes the relationship is beyond repair, and all you can take, the learning you can take from that for next time is to say, where did that go south? And how can I prevent it next time? So that might be parent education, or it might be something in the student relationship that just went awry. People don't, well, occasionally you do have students where the parents are basically forcing them to take lessons, and that's maybe a different scenario. So the way you avoid that is you make sure at the beginning that the kiddo actually wants to take lessons. And if the parent is forcing them, you have a chat with the parent about that. Now, if that's not the case, normally there is a moment where they decided you weren't on their side in some way. And that can be from a variety of things, but it's something you can examine with each student and give yourself feedback to get better without being harsh on yourself, right, Kimberly? It's not about saying, oh, I did this wrong. It's just about saying to yourself, well, what could I have tweaked? What might have made me connect better with this student? And seeing if you can change something for next time, for your next student who's similar in whatever way is relevant. Oh my gosh, guys. Great discussion today. I think this has been one of the most interesting chat discussions that we've had. So thank you all for chiming in with such valuable insights and ideas and, gripes and niggles and thoughts on next year. I hope you'll continue this and continue to think about it and go back over those 5 questions and give yourself some time to think on them. As a reminder, we are live here every Wednesday and Friday as well, so if you can join me then, I would love to have you back again to other great topics up for this week based on feedback from you guys from last week. And of course on Friday I'll be giving you the opportunity to select next week's topics. We have 3 weeks left of these chats, so make the most of them in their current format, and we'll think about where we go from there. We might go down to 1 a week or something like that. Thank you all so much again for joining me. It has been an absolute blast. And I hope that it's been useful for you and given you some food for thought. If you do need access to resources and you're not currently a VMT member, do join us. You can use the coupon code online to get a 1-week trial for just $1 right now. Absolute bargain. And after that it is $25 a month. Your subscription will automatically roll through, but if you don't want to continue, you just cancel and you won't be charged any more from there. Thank you all so much again. It's been a blast and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye for now.